Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And we give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite sports icons and athletes. I'm Boom Gonzalez. In tonight's game plan, we'll hear some updates on movement in the NBA. But first, let's look into the players to watch out for in the upcoming PVL Invitational Conference.
Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Now, in just a few days, the PVL will kick off its Invitational Conference, and by now, fans should know that this part of the season welcomes so many changes, both in player movements and the new teams. But with all of the developments going on right now, which players should we pay attention to? Joining us to name his picks is PVL analyst Ish Polvorosa. Ish, how are you?
Hi guys, good evening. I'm good.
Welcome back.
Here. Yeah.
You picked a really interesting list of players here. So
Right.
what were you looking for? Ano yung criteria mo muna when you were picking out the players that we should pay attention to?
Well, first of all, I took into account the last conference, their performances there. And that's where I drew my conclusions. And then, of course, the UAAP and, of course, their international stints. I also watched their games. So feeling ko, that's how they can contribute in the next conference.
And speaking of international games, one of the names that you will start with her
Right.
doing so well,
Right.
turning back the hands of time
Yep.
in the AVC Cup right now. Nang Aiza is putting on a vintage performance. So why did you pick her?
Well, a lot of people have been wondering, no, is she already in her twilight years of playing? But, I mean, just watch her play internationally. I mean, the power might not be there katulad nung nasa college years pa siya, but the precision in all her attacks
yeah.
and the leadership. And that's it in the international stage. What more in the PVL Invitational Conference?
And she's coming off a great
Yes.
All-Filipino.
Correct.
Right?
That's a very good point as well. I agree.
You know, you take a look at yung style niya, and we have enough time to talk about this, but then what is it about yung style niya ngayon that makes her game translate in today's modern, quicker game?
I think it's more of how she uses her brain when it comes to playing inside the court. Kasi it's not just all about power for her. And a lot of angles which are very hard to do for any spiker, men's and women's. Grabe yung mga cut shots niya and then yung mga down the lane hits niya and off the block hits niya. I mean, the power is still there from time to time, but the experience in her, because she's already a veteran for the national team and of course for the Petrogas Angels.
And then, you know, that her wrist action is just...
Correct.
It's so unique and it's so tough as a defender, nabasahin, or as a blocker.
Yeah, and
so.
of course, hindi natin pwedeng kalimutan i-mention yung defensive play niya.
Yeah.
She's also very good at defending on the floor. And of course, passing opposite nga rin siya, di ba?
Right,
So
right.
that's very rare.
Right, and I did say last conference, parang I've also seen that she's in the best shape of her etong lately at the last couple of years. So that does well for her, or bodes well for her. Now, speaking of brain and Descarte, you also picked somebody who's always in that category, si Kim
That's
Fajardo.
Kim Fajardo, of course, we know that she experienced an injury, I think, in the past couple of months. But in the last conference, we saw how she put up a good fight, no? When it comes to going up against Janelle Cheng and Gia Morado, de Guzman, when it comes to the setting department. And napakadami niyang excellent plays in the last conference. And I think in time, kasi may mga bagong players sila sa F2 like Myla Pablo, Ivy Laxina, and of course there are other players from the UAAP.
Right.
And I think being the veteran that she is, no, I think slowly but surely nakukuha niya na ulit yung groove niya, which is good for volleyball fans around the country.
You know, we always talk about how important health is, and I think we see that especially kay Kim. You take a look at the way that she needs to adapt her game with her new teammates, with the style of play that we mentioned earlier with Aiza. Just what do you feel will we see from Kim this time around? Knowing that she's okay, may konting runway na siya, a bit healthier, and getting more used to the style of play that it felt like it was different before when she was healthy, before any of the injuries.
It's a very good point as well. Kasi medyo mas mabilis na yung pacing ngayon eh.
Yeah.
But I think what she's shown us in the last conference, no, pinakita niya sa that she can adapt. And with Coach Regine, on their team, I think magaguide naman si Kim Fajardo when it comes to the setting department.
And then, you know, backstopped by, of course, their veteran Iris Tolenada. And what a luxury for Mars Alba.
Yeah, Mars Alba.
To now join them and learn from...
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying, di ba, nasa hubog ni ni Kim Fardo, si Marcia Alba. So what a luxury for her. All right, let's talk about somebody who's been dominant for the last couple of conferences, the last year and a half. You wanted to pick her, and obviously she has to be on anybody's list.
Yes.
Tots Carlos.
Yeah, we've seen her play, in the past conferences and of course in the last SEA Games. Buhatero talaga to si Tots Carlos. I mean, grabe yung attacking power niya. And in the last conferences as well, we saw that she had to fill in the opener position because Eliza Valdez incurred an injury. So, dun niya mas na-hone lalo yung defensive skills niya, especially her passing and her defending skills. And I think under Coach Sherwin, she's tremendously improved on those categories.
You know, you mentioned Eliza, she's looking a lot healthier and could be featuring a lot more creamline. How do you think that affects Tots this conference around, considering that, she did have to fill a gap last time around, but now, that gap is, a bit filled again.
Right. I think it's also interesting for creamline fans to see if Eliza Valdez is already in healthy shape. Just like the last year na talagang healthy pa siya before the injury. Kasi if she is healthy, this coming Invitational Conference, Tots Carlos might play again as an opposite.
If Eliza
right
comes
winger.
back.
Yeah.
Yes. So she goes back to her natural, you're saying.
Her natural position for creamline.
Is there anybody, and this just as a quick comment on Tots, who became MVP and then lost a lot of her playing time also during the import conference? So that's another strange wrinkle in the Tots Carlos game. But then she comes back, and she comes back very, very strong. And speaking of strong, what an addition for the Cherry Tigo crossovers. It will be Creamline and Cherry Tigo in the first, the main or the last game of the opener. Ea Laure the spotlight is on her.
Yeah, blockbuster kagad yung first game nila, kasi she's going up against one of her idols in Eliza Valdez. And we've seen Ea Laure play in the UAAP, although she did not bag the MVP award. I mean, all around, when it comes to attacking, blocking, serving, I think she was also in the top 10 of receiving, and that's very important for an outside hitter na talagang all around ka, and that's what she can bring to the table for Cherry Tigo. Kasi the consistency in their outside hitters, I think in the last conferences was what's lacking for their team.
So we have a player making her debut in the professional scene, and we have another player that is making a return to indoor volleyball. Of course, Cici Rondina is your choice here. And you are very excited to explain to us why we should watch Cici Rondina. Bakit?
Well, we should. Kasi, I mean, if you guys have watched her play on the sands, parang manilang what more sa indoor volleyball. And she also played indoor volleyball for UST and of course for Petron before. And grabe talaga.
MVP!
Yeah, MVP. The athleticism of Cici Rondina kasi talaga is very talagang undeniable. And I think when it comes to her athleticism, dun pa lang talagang a lot of the openers in the league will have a run for their money.
It's interesting that your last two picks are two players who kind of transitioned after one another, right? Cici was the MVP senior, while Ea was the Rookie of the Year in that championship run that they have. I cannot wait to see them. But is there any pag-aalinlangan ba-ish? Matagal siyang nawala sa indoor. That can be a factor for her, or Bernadette Pons for that matter. Do you think that will be a factor, or will we see the same explosion from her?
I think the explosiveness when it comes to Cici Rondina and Ea Laure will still be there. I think it's just gonna be a question of yung familiarity and chemistry, especially in the first few games. Kasi you won't get it right the first time.
Right.
So, for sure, may mga jitters pa yan.
Choco-mucho pa.
Ish. Ang daming fans, and syempre, ang daming nag-expect.
Pressure.
Yeah, the pressure is there. But then, I think, once the tournament passes by, makukuha na nila yung isa't isa. And under Coach Dante, which is also a very good tactician.
Correct. I think
they're in very good hands.
I think she's a wonderful addition for exactly a team like Choco-mucho, because she doesn't care about the other stuff, right?
Yeah,
this girl plays to the crowd.
Ish, that is a great list. It's a great list that you come up with, and there's still so many more stars to watch out for. You can catch that all, of course, when PVL opens the Invitational Conference this weekend. Again, Ish, maraming salamat. We can't wait to see you at the games, and we can't wait to see these players as well. 5 days
away. We're so excited. Thank you, Ish, for coming over to the show.
Thank you, guys.
In the meantime, after the break, we'll go inside the game with the Philippine Azkals as they look ahead to a new chapter in the national program. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back. You're watching The Game. Now, with the return of Coach Michael Weiss to the Philippine Azkals, the national team finished a pair of friendlies on home soil to mark a new chapter for the program. Paulo Del Rosario caught up with the Azkals themselves right after their win over Nepal last week to talk about the future of the national team.
Joining me today are some of the members of the Philippine Azkals, some of the homegrown local contingent in particular that did shine in the most recent friendly here in the Philippines. A 1-0 win against Nepal. Patrick Detro, Sandro Reyes, and Harvey Gayoso. All of them from the south almost, I think, except for you, Harvey, but the south of Metro Manila. But either way, so great to have you guys here. First of all, Patrick, ikaw yung man of the match last time around. You said that you didn't expect to win it. You felt like you were just doing your job. I know you're not really a humble guy, but then that just says a lot. What do you make of the first showing of the Philippine Azkals under Coach Weiss in his return?
Well, actually, we really wanted to win. We spoke about it in the meeting, like we wanted to get the result regardless of the preparations, of the lineup, whatever, because we want to create momentum for the team. So we did everything we could to win the game. I just tried to do my job, tried to do my job, and then I have a lot of good teammates. I know that they would be there to help me, to help the team, to do their job as well.
Harvey, you ended up as a goal scorer and you were gassed at the end of it, despite coming in as a sub. I know that a lot of the guys here were coming from holiday or coming from a bit of a break and weren't really as match fit. But then, what does that say about the quality of the team na kahit medyo nagkukulang in terms of yung fitness level, they're still able to show off what they can do and pull out wins in different conditions?
What Coach Weiss told us in our meetings is, aside from playing with skill, we had to play with heart, and I think that's what we all showed, especially coming into this game. We wanted to bring pride to the country. We wanted to change our streak, and we wanted to start having a winning mentality. So we played with heart. A lot of us gave our all just for the country and just for the team that we played for, the flag we played for, and it showed.
Sandro, I remember back in the day, Rizal Memorial used to be packed all the time. There was quote-unquote the golden age of the Philippine Azkals. And I remember you would post photos of you being a wee child in the Rizal Memorial, enjoying what was there. Now the goal is to build up momentum and kind of get even just a bit of that back. How important was it knowing that you've experienced it and you want to bring that back just a bit more?
Yeah, just yesterday even, there was a big difference between our last home games in the Mitsubishi Cup. Even if this is a way less important match on paper, still we got a couple thousand people there, so it's good to see that there's still people that want to watch us and have faith in us, that we just have to return the favor by putting up performances, and it's just about winning games right now. It wasn't the prettiest performance, wasn't the prettiest goal, but we just needed to win.
Just how does it feel knowing that there at least now seems to be a bit more stability coming, at least in the short term, hopefully longer than that?
You can tell that it gives a lot of confidence to not only the management but the team. We have a coach who has come back. He's won a lot for the country, basically. Yeah. He's done a lot for the country. So there's a lot of trust that we have towards Coach Weiss, and at the same time we have a mix of veterans and a lot of these new faces who are eager to show that what they have in terms of their talent. We understand that this is just the start, and we're stepping towards even greater things. We're stepping towards and we're looking towards accomplishing more. But it's good that we know that we're stable at the moment, and we can start from here. We're basically an opportunity for us to build from this win.
Let's talk about the young guys, because a lot of people, when you talk about the Azkals, they still think about the old guard. Neil, all due respect to Neil, I'm his age, so I can't really say much about him being old. The young husbands, Stefan Schrock, there is a new generation coming up, Dates, and you have seen them for the first time here. You were part of those old camps, but now you're seeing Sandro doing what he does in the middle all the time. You're seeing Harvey, who used to terrorize people in the UAP, thank God he stopped. Now part of the national team side. What do you make of this new crop of talent that not a lot of people are as familiar with?
Yeah, I'm super impressed, really. Like, we had a chat a while ago. I told you, like, the first training session that I had on June 12th, Monday, I was really impressed with all the young guys. All of them, Sandro, of course, Harvey, Andres, Jax, even Gio. They were all up to the task, you know. Before, I have seen homegrown players who struggle a little bit, you know, even myself. The first few camps, first few trainings, struggle a little bit with the level, to compete with the players coming from abroad. But you can see now the difference. The difference is not that much. Like what Coach Wise also said last night, it's not a lot compared to how it was before. So the gap is getting smaller. I think ability-wise, there's no question. You can see from the young players that the Filipinos have it, you know.
How do you take up that challenge with the knowledge that you're not representing the Philippines on a FIFA window basis? You're representing the Philippines every single game day in Germany.
Yeah, it's. I don't really take it as a pressure, more of like an honor to be able to bring a good name for the country. If I do well there, then people say, "Oh, the Philippines can produce athletes and footballers just like what all the other athletes are doing." So it's always nice to be able to play any game and have the country on your name as well.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that, not pressure, but privilege, I guess. So yeah.
And Harvey, we have to shout out the fact that you're a domestic champion right now with Kaya FC, and the fact of the matter is that you played really well this season. You scored quite a few goals. How have you evolved? How have you changed? And how have you translated that into representing the national team?
They gave me the opportunity to redeem myself. I mean, certain situations also with injuries of other players gave me the opportunity to play, and I just took every single opportunity as a chance to show that I was not held back by the injury that I had. So that gave me the momentum and the confidence to play the way I played. And when I was given this call up here in the Azkals, I just brought that momentum and I just brought that confidence in myself to do what I can for the country here.
Just how excited should the fans be about what is to come for the Philippine Azkals, and not just in the next game, but the next windows and next few years, hopefully?
Again, it's a new coach, new regime, so it's like a fresh start. So everybody's so hungry, determined, and we really want to bring Azkals back to where it was before. And obviously, we need the support of the people. You know, it's much better. We're more stronger. We have more energy when they are there, when they are supporting us. And I think together we can bring football into a higher place in the Philippines. You know, we cannot do it by ourselves.
That was Patrick Dato, Sandro Reyes, and Harvey Gayoso of the Philippine Azkals. Now, after the break, we'll talk about the top 5 picks in this year's NBA draft on top of some off-season moves. Stay tuned, you're watching The Game.
Welcome back to the game. Well, it's official, and to no one's surprise, the Spurs select Victor Wembanyama as the #1 pick in this year's NBA draft. The 7'4" sensation dominated the French league in his final season, leading all players in scoring, rebounding, and blocks. Joining him in the top 5 of this year's draft class is second overall pick Brandon Miller, who was selected by the Charlotte Hornets. Third overall pick Scoot Henderson is headed to the Portland Trail Blazers, while brothers Amen and Azor Thompson are off to the Houston Rockets and Detroit Pistons respectively. They are the first brothers taken in the top 5 of the same NBA draft. In other NBA news, it looks like Chris Paul will be wearing a Warriors jersey soon. The Wizards will be sending Chris Paul to the Warriors for Jordan Poole as well as assets. Washington is also receiving a 2030 first-round pick and a 2027 second-round pick from the Golden State Warriors. CP3 averaged 13.9 points and 8.9 assists for the Suns last season. A bit of a salary dump here for the Warriors. Boom, Chris Paul going to Golden State. I never thought that this would happen.
Yeah, they battled each other for so long. The thing that I'm trying to figure out is his methodical game, slow game, 2-point game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the mid-range game goes everything against the
Warriors'
chaos,
philosophy. Yeah.
high octane, ball movement, player movement from the Warriors. So I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll see how that pans out. In the meantime, the FIBA World Cup 2023 is coming to Signal Pay-Per-View. Avail the early bird offer for only 550 pesos until July 15 to watch all games commercial-free and in high definition. Plus, get a chance to win authentic Gilas Pilipinas merchandise. Visit signal.tv for more details, and also available to satellite subscribers. Thank you for joining us. Happy weekend. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
And I'm Paulo Del Rosario. This has been The Game.